Welcome to the Funko Files, a podcast created by a fanatic for fanatics. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Funko Files. This is a podcast dedicated strictly to Funko, Funko products, and Funko fanatics. I'm your host, as always, Austin, and this is now the third episode of the podcast. I have another awesome lineup for you today. Our first segment is more of kind of a rant by me because I had my first experience with a flipper. And I know that's kind of an evil word to a lot of you, and many of you have experienced these type of people. For those of you that aren't sure or haven't heard of the term, a flipper is referred to as someone who buys any particular product at retail price and then turns around to sell at a much higher profit. So let me first state by saying flippers are inevitable in any pop culture item, same as the fakers and scalpers that we talked about in the last podcast. Anytime something is in high demand, you're going to have people wanting to get in on it and make money. It's kind of that greed thing, right? So that being said, it still does suck, and I experienced it firsthand. I was hoping that the flippers wouldn't hit my town since pops haven't had the craze and attention that many other states have experienced. And shoot, I mean, at the beginning, I may have been one of maybe a dozen, if that, in my whole state that actually was actively looking to buy pops. I mean, you could find pops in any store just totally stocked because people just weren't into them like they are now. But I guess that sweet ride that I was on is finally come to an end because I finally ran into a flipper. And so let me kind of tell you about my experience and just get this off my chest. And it's a good topic to talk about on this podcast too, because I know a lot of you experience the same thing. A lot of you fanatics experience the same thing. So what happened this weekend? I was, I have the Walgreens.com website bookmarked on my phone, and I always check that first before going to any stores. It's been really a huge time saver, and has been pretty darn accurate for me. So I definitely recommend using the Walgreens item lookup on their website when you're out pop hunting. So this weekend I was out pop hunting for the new Walgreens Marvel exclusives. I spoke about them on my first podcast. And of course I looked them up on my phone first, and lo and behold, there were 3 stores that had them in stock, or at least that showed them in stock. And like I said, for me anyway, it's been pretty accurate when I do that. Usually if I go there, they have them. So there were 3 stores that showed them in stock, so I hurried and got ready and set out on my adventure of pop hunting. So the first store was actually super close by my house, like literally 2-minute drive. So when I got there, I went straight back to the toy aisle, and there was nothing on the shelves. But I did see a lot of Walgreens employees stocking the items, so I figured they probably just got a truck in and were just unloading, and maybe they weren't out yet. So I was hopeful that they had them sitting in the back. So I went up to one of the Walgreens employees that was stocking items, and I just kind of politely asked them if they maybe had them in the back still. And as soon as I asked that question, I was immediately told that someone literally just beat me to it like 5 minutes ago and bought up all 6 that they had. Now, normally I would just think, okay, whatever. I might, even for myself, I may have bought 6, I'll keep a couple extra for trade bait. So at this point, I wasn't thinking anything. But then the lady kind of told me, even started to tell me that the dude was pretty rude about it and demanding that she go look in the back for them. Now, again, it's not really a tip-off that this guy was a flipper or anything like that, but the fact that he was rude about it kind of made me a little mad because, first of all, that gives us, actual collectors, a bad reputation because then the employees see that as, oh, these guys are just really rude. They're just, all they want is these, they just want to get what they want. So it gives us a bad reputation when people are rude to the employees and things like that. So please be very polite to the employees. Um, if you're polite and nice, trust me, they will help you out. So she went on to tell me that he was very rude about it and literally demanded that she go back in the back and get them for him. So I was kind of a little saddened by hearing that story, but was still kind of hopeful that maybe I can get them at the other two stores. So um, I went to I left and started going to the other stores that had them. So I get to the second one, which was quite a bit further than the first. And I get there, it's kind of the same scenario. I go back to the toy aisle, nothing there. Ask one of the employees if they have any, or if there's any in the back. And I literally got the same exact story. That some dude literally just came in, demanded to have them from the back, get them from the back, and bought them all up. So at this point, I was like, all right, now I feel like I'm dealing with a flipper because, first of all, the first store he bought them all up, he was very rude about it. The second store bought them all up, was very rude about it. Again, it was almost like identical. I was like, is this deja vu? And to have the exact same stories at both stores is pretty, that's pretty rare to get the exact same story. So, um, I was at this point, I pretty much knew I was dealing with a flipper, and I'm not gonna lie, I was really mad. So I got back to my car and was still kind of hopeful that the last store, maybe he decided that that was enough and he was done. So I was hoping that maybe the last store had them. But I didn't want to drive because, again, it was even further than the second store. So I didn't want to drive another 20 minutes just to find out that he did the same thing at this third store. So I went in my car and called the last store. And that store, again, gave me the exact same story that some dude just came in and bought them all up. So like three stores, I was just really fed up. I was pretty infuriated. So I drove back home, madder than a bull in a rodeo. I couldn't believe this guy went and literally bought up all the stock within a matter of an hour or so, honestly. So, I mean, I gotta hand it to him. This guy was on his game, so I'll give him that. But to go and buy up literally the whole stock that honestly the whole state of Utah had is a little ridiculous. So, um, I just yeah, I was just really mad, and so I kind of just cooled down Saturday night last night, and so it's now Sunday morning. This morning, in fact, I'm waiting because I know what this guy's gonna do, right? I know he's gonna have a post soon, and so I'm kind of checking eBay this morning. Don't see anything, but we also have a local classifieds website here in the state of Utah. It's called KSL.com, and it's actually the biggest local classifieds for my state. So I had a feeling he might be posting on that. And yeah, sure enough, I look on that website, and there are two sets of four for $85 for all four. So that's about he's doubling his money because the cost with tax would just be over $37 for all four, and he's selling them for 85. So actually, it's a little bit more than doubling his money. So he's definitely trying to make a pretty big profit there. And I thought one of the funny things that he put on his ad is, or didn't, the lack thereof actually on his ad, is he didn't even put his name on the ad, right? So all he put on there was literally Marvel Walgreens exclusive set and his number. That's it. For 85 bucks, just a phone number, no name, no, not even a description of the product. So I really hope that my fellow Utahns are educated and know not to pay that and to wait, because like I said, this was the first they hit Utah. There was only 3 stores. There's plenty of other Walgreens, so I'm hoping we get another second shipment in, which I believe will come, and hopefully I can beat this guy because it just really makes me mad. Like I feel like I want to say something and I wanted to text him on that number that he gave me, but I thought to myself, what's the point really? He just to argue with this dude and then him block my number or something worse, like wanting to get in a fight or whatever. So I'm just like, nah, it's not worth it. It's not worth my time. I just, you got to let your emotions just calm down and cool. And that's hard for me because I get a temper. You can ask my wife. So that's something that I have to work on a lot. But, it's not worth it. It's not worth it to argue with this dude because he's going to do what he's going to do no matter what. Me texting him is not going to make a difference on his ad. It really won't. I just hope that someone doesn't get screwed by this guy. That's the thing too, is I can't really prevent that, right? Unless they're listening to my podcast. Don't buy from this guy on Carousel, guys. But that's really my only method. I can't really put another ad on there saying don't buy from this guy because who knows who's going to look at that and things like, I guess I could do that, but then it might be getting taken down because it's not a true ad. So yeah, it just really is a frustrating scenario. So I feel for all you other pop hunters. I know what it's like. It's just a really kind of it's just a sucky situation. It's just suck. It's just a big bowl of suck. So one good thing is though is I am glad I get to rant about it on this podcast. It's kind of like my unintended flipper therapy, I guess. But really, the reason I'm telling you guys this and wanted to make it a segment of this podcast is because we're all going to run into these types of people sooner or later. It really is inevitable. And you just kind of have to do what I did, and just dust off your shoulders and don't let it get to you. Because there's really, at that point, once that person has made up their mind and has bought all the stock and they're selling it, it's over, right? The only way to really stop flippers is for people not to pay those prices that they're asking. And so that's what I would ask all of you is, I know you really want these products. I know that you may even have the financial means, to pay whatever you want. And that's awesome, but please don't do it because it makes it hard on us collectors to have all this stock being bought up, have people raising the prices super high on them and having people buy them because they're just going to keep doing it. So please, please, please don't pay flipper prices. If you see a flipper, just leave them alone. They're going to do their thing, like I said. But the way to stop them is not to pay the prices. It really is. So that is the moral of the story, guys. All right. So enough about that. Let's get on to some funner topics because I know you guys are ready for some funner topics. So again, some great releases announced by Funko this past week. Let me go over a few of them, and there's actually quite a few of them. So, the second wave of the TV show Futurama was announced this past week. No date given right now on those. I'm not a huge Futurama fan, so I'm not going to get into kind of the details of that show, but you guys, again, most of these announcements are on the Funko.com website. So if you want to go get more, see glam shots of the actual product and pictures of the product, go on to Funko.com and you'll be able to see most of these announcements that I'm mentioning. The second wave of Harry Potter was announced, and I am super, super excited for this one. I think I'm getting every single one that's coming out in this set. They have a lot of good ones. So it includes a Death Eater, which looks really good. Dobby, Hermione and Ron in their dress robes for the Triwizard Ball that they had. I noticed a lot of these pops in the second wave are from the fourth movie. There's also a Draco coming out, which I know a lot of people wanted Draco in the first wave, so I'm glad he's coming out in the second wave. There's the new Dumbledore. So the first Dumbledore was the first and kind of second movies, right? And then the new Dumbledore, as we know from the later half of the film franchise. So they're going to be releasing him. Luna Lovegood, which is awesome. Harry in his Triwizard jersey. And my favorite, the notorious mass murderer Sirius Black. I'm super excited for that one. I've wanted a Sirius Black pop even before I wanted a Harry Potter pop, honestly. I love Sirius Black. He's probably my favorite character. Um, him and Professor Snape are my two favorite characters in the whole Harry Potter franchise. So I'm super excited that we finally get a Sirius Black. So these are all expected to hit the stores in March. So be looking out for those, probably in your local Barnes & Noble, Hot Topics, the usual stores there. Also announced was Better Call Saul TV series was announced. So I'm super excited about this as well. And you'll know Better Call Saul, especially if you're a Breaking Bad fan. So this is kind of a spin-off of Breaking Bad, with Saul Goodman as the lawyer and kind of his life and how he became a lawyer and things like that. So very, very good TV series. If you haven't checked it out, I recommend it. It's had a great first season. So these also have a March release date. Also announced by Yoko and Cameron from Funko. So if you follow Funko, you know Yoko and Cameron are kind of the marketing gurus for Funko. Really awesome people. A glow-in-the-dark Walmart exclusive Batman vs. Superman 2-pack. And this thing looks awesome, especially if you're a glow-in-the-dark fan and a Batman fan and a Superman fan. You are going to love this and want this. It is a Walmart exclusive, and I know a lot of Walmarts have been kind of hit or miss on their exclusive products for Funko. Mine have been fairly good. They have really had every exclusive that's come out. The only one I was never able to find was the Jabba the Hutt 3-pack. But I was pretty much able to find everything else. The Stormtrooper and Dewback, the Poe Dameron without his helmet. They had the Frozen set. So my Walmarts have actually been pretty good on their exclusives. But I know a lot of the Walmarts in your local areas probably haven't been, and that kind of does suck, especially when it's an exclusive that you really want. So that makes it tough. Hopefully their exclusive releases are better, and they continue to get better as Walmart, buys these exclusives and does more of these. But this one looks epic. They are glow in the dark. It's just that if you've seen the 2-pack for the Batman vs Superman, it's the same thing. They're just all green. They look really cool. So I'm excited to see this in person, and it's supposed to have an early March release date, end of February, early March. So just be looking out for those in your local Walmart soon here. So another thing that I found this week that was announced, it was just announced a couple of days ago, it might have even been yesterday. So there's I don't know if it's a new website, but I've never been to it, but it's a website called The Grail Box. The Grail Box. And they announced on their Facebook page, actually, so you can find them on Facebook as The Grail Box. And this is what they had to say. Our website will be back up soon, so they must be doing maintenance on their website. And our first of many exclusive Funko products will go up for sale. So they seriously said many in there. So this will be a website that I'm definitely going to have to bookmark and see what else is coming out, because let me tell you guys, their first exclusive that they're going to be having is pretty epic. So they continue to say, introducing Christmas Jack Skellington, limited to 500 pieces. So it's a Christmas Jack Skellington Hikari piece, and it's limited to 500 pieces. You need to go check it out. Google it. Go on their Facebook page. It looks freaking awesome. You will definitely want to check this one out, especially if you're a Nightmare Before Christmas fan like I am. And then last, which I should have probably mentioned it in my last podcast, because that's when it was mentioned technically by Funko. But last, if you haven't signed up, so do it now. The Legion of Collectors subscription box is now open for subscription. This will come out in March, I believe, will be the first box. Subscription ends sometime in late February, I believe. Just do it before then, though. This is a DC exclusive box, very, very similar to the Marvel Collector Corps box and the Star Wars Smuggler's Bounty box. So it's going to be completely exclusive Funko products in there, all DC related. So, you're going to have some Batman, Superman, Poison Ivy, Green Lantern, all the stuff. I'm not going to name every character from DC, but you get the picture. And it looks really epic. They also released one of the pops that'll be in there. Will be an armored Batman pop, and he looks awesome as well. So, kind of reminiscent to the first Marvel Collector Core box. Remember the first pop in there was the Hulkbuster, which was the armored Iron Man, basically. So this is an armored Batman pop. I believe it is just a 4-inch, though. I kind of wish they would have made it 6-inch like the Hulkbuster. It would have been pretty epic and matched the Marvel Collector Core a little bit. Kind of some competition there. But I'll definitely be subscribing to this box. I'm not a big DC fan. Like, I like DC. Of course, I am obviously a big Batman fan, but I haven't really delved deeper into the DC like I have Marvel. I know Marvel a lot better, and I've always more of a Marvel and Spider-Man fan than I have really DC and Batman. But it doesn't matter because this box is going to be epic, and again, it's all exclusive. So you'll definitely want to sign up, because once signups are over, it's going to be hard to get this box again. Not to say that you won't be able to, because sometimes they do sell the previous month's box, but it definitely will be harder to get your hands on it. So make sure you are looking out for that and subscribe before that deadline. Alrighty guys, so it's now time for the Fanatic of the Week. So again, if you don't know, every week or so, Funko chooses a Fanatic of the Week. Anyone can apply by going to Funko.com and looking for the Fanatic of the Week icon on their blog. So this week's Fanatic chosen is Brad Acevedo and Amanda Rosenblatt. And I apologize, Brad and Amanda, if I butchered your last names. I hope I got them right. Not gonna lie, I even Googled, Brad, how to say your last name, and I think it's Acevedo. But if it's not, I apologize. So let's read a bit about them. So this is what they had to say on their submission to be Fanatic of the Week. So they said, we primarily collect pop vinyls, but we also have Dorbs, mystery minis, and some Mopies. At this moment, we have 78 pop, 3 pocket pop keychains, 3 Dorbs, 23 minis, and a few other Funko items floating around of various make and model. Are we bad collectors because we lost count? No, I don't think so, because I would not know how many I had unless I was doing this podcast or my YouTube channel. So you're not. I love the challenge of finding creative ways to display our Funko collection since we are running out of surface space. Yeah, tell me about it. I made a really cool frosted window display for some of our favorites, and I even wrote an article about unusual ways to display the figures. So that is awesome. I really like that. I love collectors that have come up with different ways to display their pops. I like seeing people's displays. It's awesome. There's so many creative ones out there. There's this one gal, and I apologize, I'm going to have to tell you more about her on a later podcast, that actually makes her own shelves that are in the shape of Funko Pops. So she has like a Batman made, I believe she does. I think she has a Groot shelf made. I mean, they are awesome. So I do like seeing people's creativity come out and how they display their pops. And it's just all fun, and everybody's got their own style and different way. Some people are like me and very particular in how, I have to have, not with all my series, but especially with my Star Wars, I have to have it from 1 to 100 basically in numerical order. But other people, they don't care. They match them up with maybe TV show, like when they made their appearances and things like that. So it's really cool to see people's different perspectives and displays. So a big congrats to Brad and Amanda. Congratulations on Fanatic of the Week. So that means we have come to the last segment of the show. It is Funko Fact Time. So did you know that Funko produces 2 white prototypes and 5 color prototypes for every pop figure? Now this variation can differ slightly, but usually stays true to the numbers. So pretty cool Funko fact there. Alright guys, that is it for this episode of the Funko Files. Thank you so much for tuning in. As always, your feedback and suggestions are welcome. Thank you so much for the support. I apologize for the last podcast, by the way. I wanted to mention it at the beginning, but I thought, nah, I'll save it for the end. I know I had a lot of mic bumps in my last podcast. I hope this one is much better. I was testing out a new mic. Obviously, I didn't test it enough because I didn't even, when I was working through the podcast and editing it, I didn't even hear those mic bumps until I actually produced the podcast online. So I apologize for that. I hope I never have that happen again. Thank you, Snack Daddy, for pointing that out. Hopefully I fixed it this time around and I don't have all those mic bumps. But again, thank you so much for your suggestions. Keep them coming, please. If you have any feedback, again, give them to me. And remember, have fun. All right. Thanks, guys. Agent AA out.